My eyes bug out. It was my water bottle not behaving for a minute. Sorry about that, guys. I can be a little jumpy. Okay, so welcome back, everybody. I hope you all had an awesome week last week. So, I thought before we start doing the really fun part of doing the Halloween signs, I thought we would go ahead and just do our WH question words first, just because there's kind of a limit of those. And then after that, we can kind of go on to the more fun stuff. Okay. So before I start with any the signs for the WH question words, I do want to explain one thing that is very different when using the question words. I'm not sure if I've mentioned it before, and if I have, just smile and nod. I promise I'll get through it faster. So when you are asking a question, your question word, like the who, what, when, where, why, are all going to be at the end of your sentence. So that's kind of very important. So instead of like, I think we did it when I was saying your name is what, I think, like, what is your name? You would go your name, what? So just that reminder, like that the WH word is going to be at the end. The reason for that is that it helps them know what you are asking. Because if you're saying like, who is the president of the, or something, blah, 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 you know what I mean? Like it can get easily to forget. What are you asking again? So in ASL, they use it at the end. The other important thing is your eyebrows. When asking questions, your eyebrows make a big impact. So when asking a WH question word, it's really important your eyebrows go down, okay? Not like you're mad and angry, but they just go down, okay? And for those of you who are not as like, and it's fine, but like if you don't like express often, like you're a little bit more neutral and you're showing your emotions or facial expressions, it can be a bit of a challenge, and that's okay. Don't stress. I'm someone who has a lot of expression on my face. You know, every emotion I'm feeling, everything. So it was very natural, the eyebrows going down for me. But it does help. That's to help tell them you are asking them a question. And especially with your eyebrows down, that's actually especially telling them you're asking a question that needs a specific answer back. Okay. Now, if you are asking a yes or no question, your eyebrows are going to go up. Okay. So, like if I'm saying your favorite food is, and then I'm trying to think of I'm just everything, a whole loss of brain from food. What in the world? Hold on. Let's do cheese. Thank you. I was like, why have I lost the words for food? So, like your favorite food, cheese, the eyebrows up. That means that it's asking a yes or no question. Okay. Hopefully, my questions are not going to be that strange and take it that hard. I don't know why I lost that thought for food. Sorry, guys. So, okay, so let's actually get started with our question words. So the first one we're going to start with is who. And the sign for who is you're going to have an L shape, and you're going to put your thumb on your chin, and you're going to go who. So you bend it. I'm going to turn sideways so you can see it, but like you bend it. Who. Some people will go who, where they'll point it all the way down. That's also another way. I go who. Now, what's interesting with this sign, I always think is very fascinating, is that everybody I know when they sign the word who all make the who sound, the ooh, who. Even my profoundly deaf students, profoundly deaf peers that have never heard the word who before at all will still go who with the motion of with the question who. So I like to say that's just part of the sign is you go who. Who. Okay. The next one we have is what, which if you guys remember when we did what is your name is what. 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 All right. Then we have where. And so where is going to be, you're going to have a pointer finger. It's going to be slightly crooked. You're not going full like in the X shape, but just a little crooked. And you're going to go where. 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 So you shake it back and forth. Where. 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 Okay. Then we have when. So when is going to have two pointer fingers. They're going to be touching, and whichever, like I do my dominant, So your dominant pointer finger will make a circular motion. When. And I'm going forward and all the way back. When. Kind of like when we did year, that similar movement. When. That's also the sign for about as well. The sign for about as well. That's where those eyebrows kind of can, I think, make a difference, is if you're saying like when, like the game is when, versus saying, well, it's about 5 minutes, something like that. It kind of, the changes of the eyebrows will help in make that difference. And then our last one, why. Y has 3 different ways you can sign it, okay? And it's all pretty much like a preference. There's not really one specific way for either way. So, and they're all very similar to each other, okay? So I'm gonna show you the first one. So the first one is you're gonna put your your hand bent. I will get to that once I finish this. Let's see, there we go. Sorry, I want to pull up my chat. So you're gonna go here and you're gonna pull it to a Y shape. So it's like all your fingers are touching your forehead and it bends out into a Y shape. Y. Y. And if your pinky's already sticking up when you do here, that's not the end of the world, because mine does it. Y. Okay, so yes, the question is when signing question words, do we sign it once or keep repeating? It really kind of depends. So like, for example, if I'm asking someone, I might go who, like I might bounce it a few times. If I was doing what, shaking it a few times, I'm not gonna do it one time. You could do one time, but like the shaking, because it's shaking, there's not really too much of a difference with that, if that makes sense. For when, that's a good one. I was sitting here going, what is one where you bounce, who you bounce, where you shake, when? You can ask it just one time. It's kind of one of those, you just do it once, but you can also do it twice, like when, if you're asking it like a few times, like that kind of deal. Most of the time though, you would do once. Sorry, I have like a bug bite on my wrist and I'm trying not to scratch it, but it's like my ponytail band is like scratching on it. So if you see me scratching, that's why. Okay, back on our Y. So we have this Y. The other option, so that's the first one, is Y. And I'm turning it sideways so you see it. Typically, you just leave it like this, Y. Okay. The next one is going to be your middle finger. So it's kind of bent forward like this. You're going to have it on the side of your head and go Y. So you just kind of pull it back so the only finger really moving is your middle finger. Y. Excuse me. Y. Okay. The third option, and this one I can admit this is the one I do now often, is Y. So it's literally that same middle finger, but now you're just bouncing on the side of your head. Y. I think it's because this one's a lot shorter. Like you can just, do it. You don't have to do the whole motion of pulling it down. Also, because with this one, you just keep repeating. I can just keep repeating it. And sometimes you have to do that when you're talking with students. It's why. So, why? Okay. Let's go back to the mailman was coming and dropping off packages late, and he is just about to lose it on it, but we'll be good. Okay. Let's do our who again. So we had who. And you remember, you do want your thumb to be on your chin. Who. Hold on, let me get these dogs real quick. Sorry about that. All right, so we had our who. And then, oh yes, they do. They very much, it's all day. Why? Everywhere I'm going, it's just why. So, yep, I see that one just as often. Then we have what, which was what. Then our where. So remember, it's a slight bend. If it's a pointer finger, it's not going to be the end of the world, but it is a slight bend. Where. where, mm-hmm. When, when, mm-hmm. And then why. So the first one where you touch your side of your head and pull it back in a why. The next one with just the middle finger touching the side of your head and pull it back, why. And then the bouncing one, why. Okay, so I was going to say, fun fact also with this one is when you guys do this is no, like I know, which I always think is interesting because that's connected with why, which makes, to me, it makes sense. Know why, like know why. I love how I just blended them together. Know why. So just a little fun one. This is no. Okay, so let's see. I was going to say, the next one I was going to do is how. Now for how, there is, two very similar ways. I'm going to show you both. I mean, the reason I'm going to show you both is sometimes if you see that slight difference, I don't want you to be thrown off of, oh, wait a minute, what is that? It's still how. So the first one is you're going to have two thumbs up. You're going to put them together. And your dominant hand is going to go how. Now, sometimes when you're doing the how, it may just be one time. How. This is kind of if you're talking about just the like asking like how. You're not having it like connected with something, but you're just like how will be that bouncing. But if you're asking like clean how, I'll do it one time. So this is where that question of like how many times you would do it kind of comes into play. If it's by itself, bouncing it. But if you're doing like the word before like clean, how, that one time. Okay. The other option is how. It's like you pull them together and they curve out. How. I don't see that one as often. I see this one more, but just in case if you do see that, they are meaning also how. Okay. Now with how, this one does have its little like contradiction to having the question word at the end. If you are asking, how are you? That's the only one. How are you is you would go, how you. Mm-hmm. So this is where you would have that how in front of in the first sentence. How you. I think it's because it just smooths very well instead of you, how, it's how are you? Okay. All right. Let's see. How many and how much? I knew I was like, I have to have a list. If I do not stare at this list, I will veer off so fast. So I'm trying to keep on my pace with my list. All right. So for how much or how many, it's how much or how many. It's like you just throw them in the air. How many? Mm-hmm. How many? Okay. Now in relation to money, if you were talking about how much money, it would be a slight difference. You would do that sign for money, which I think I showed before. It was like you holding it like dollars and you're patting it. Money, how much? You would want to add the how much money. Sometimes people just do money, and that kind of can always clear it too. You do want to make sure you put that money beforehand though, because with how much, if you are asking like how much, they may think you're talking about how many, like objects, things. So it's important to have that money sign before it. Okay. Then we have which. Now, not the which that has like the long nose and everything, but the which, like, do you want? Which is it? Ice cream or cake? That kind of thing. So you'll have two thumbs up and you're going to go which, back and forth. Now, with this one, it is important you label your two things first. I typically like to do it this way. I have not talked to you guys about how to list things out because we haven't done family signs yet. Okay. So that was like one change of our like the line, and I'm like, wait a minute. So
Jillian, I think you might have briefly mentioned it, but
okay.
briefly.
So what I cannot talk. When you are listing things, you use your hand and you turn it sideways like this. And I was thinking about almost like a shopping list. So like now I have 5, just a typical 5. But if I were talking about 2 different things I'd talk about, I would go 2. Then I would point to the one that I'm talking about, and then I would give it the sign. So let's say I'm talking about ice cream flavors. We'll just do ice cream flavors. So I would start with just like ice cream itself, which is ice cream. I would point here, and then I would say chocolate, which I know I'm just throwing like 1,000 signs at you guys at once, but I would do chocolate. Then I would point here and do vanilla. Okay. So I gave these two the places. The important thing is when you are listing is do not change your placements. Okay. Once you assign a spot, that is the spot. Because if you change it and then you use this to like, because you can use this later to go back. So like if you're saying, your favorite ice cream, is it chocolate, vanilla, which? And then they say like chocolate, and you go, oh, this one. That's how you can use it to go back to it. That kind of deal. But if you go this, they're going to go, no, 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 this one, because you said this is chocolate. So it's important to follow through with your list. The reason I added that was just because when you are doing the which, you typically do want to show like you're talking about two, because, sometimes with which, while typically it's two, you could have more than one option, more than two options, like 3 or 4 or 5, however many. And that would be help, like that's where this listing comes in to help with that. So if we were to add strawberry, have chocolate, vanilla, strawberry, those three, which. Okay. So you want to like identify which ones you want first, which I know we haven't gotten into like food stuff yet. We will in a few weeks. But this is just kind of how you would list anything like that. Okay. With that which sign. Okay.
Quick question.
Yes.
So with the which construction, do you always need to give an option, or can it be like which is your favorite? That's what we already did, but like which teacher told you that or something? Do you need to give choices in that way, or could it also just be an open-ended question?
So that's a really good question. Okay, so this is where English and ASL kind of conflict a little bit. Not in a conflicting sense, but you know how we say, which teacher told you that? Really, the question we're asking is told you like who? Like teacher who? So that's where that teacher sign, the who would apply, and you want to use the which. But yeah, no, that's a good question. Like, because in English, we say things like that. But what's really important is when you're thinking about ASL, is anything in English, you want to think of like the deeper background meaning of the words and sentences and stuff. And that's actually a really good one. Sorry, I'm like sitting here, I was like, wow, that's actually a perfect example of how we have to think about that translation from English to ASL. Because I typically talk about like, like idioms, like it's raining cats and dogs. You would not sign raining cats and dogs. Okay. You won't. Don't do it. They will tease you relentlessly for it. I promise. Okay. I had one of those mistakes myself and they still don't let it go. But you have to be very literal. And so with that, the which typically when you're talking about like asking like the teacher who told you, or the staff member, whatever told you who, you would do this, you would go like teacher told you who, or told you teacher who, that. But if you did want to, in the sense, like add a list of like the teachers, like saying like, oh, who of these people, you can list the people out as well. That still can be applied with the who. And you can do this. It kind of can go kind of connect all together. But yeah. Okay. The last thing I was going to give you guys is answers to how are you? Because I feel like that's kind of a very good starting question. And I could see you introducing yourself to a deaf person and then going, how are you? And then they respond and you're like, I don't know what that answer is. Or they ask you, how are you? And you're like, I don't know. So you can do the typical good that we did last week when we did our time of good morning. So good. You could do bad if you're not having a good time. You can also say bad. The one kind of generalized one is fine. And so fine is just going to be a 5, and you're going to tap your thumb on your chest. Fine. Fine. If all else fails, you can just do like a thumbs up, like I'm good. So that also works as well. Then there's also okay. Okay is super simple. It's okay. 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 I'm turning it sideways so you can see it, but okay. I'm okay. That kind of deal. Or so. Like, yeah, it could go either way. Thankfully, a lot of like signs for that are very we kind of almost use them in English when we're having normal conversations anyways. So. All right, well, let's go back through those last few and then we'll get started on our Halloween signs. Okay, so we had how. So how. It's like your middle knuckles are touching. How. How. And then how are you? How are you? How are you? How are you? And then we had our how much or how many. How much? How much? How much or how many? I know it probably looks like I'm like staring angrily at you guys with my eyebrows, like keep squinting like this. But I promise it's just because I'm so used to when I have those questions is immediately eyebrows are down. I promise you guys, I'm not mad. It's just the showing you what you do. And then which. Which. Okay. Then our last few ones were the answers, like responding to like how are you? So we had fine, fine, fine. Okay, okay. So. And you do want to have with this as well when you're having like those kinds of conversations, you do want to make sure your facial expressions do kind of tie into what you're saying. So like if you're saying like you're having it's like been a bad day, you don't want to be going bad, bad. Like if they're going, how are you? And you go bad with a smile, you don't want to do that. It'll be very confusing. So, or like if you're saying like you're really happy, like it's been a really good day or something like that, and you're like, good, very neutral. Yeah, that they're gonna look at you and go, are you good? Are you okay? Like you're not looking good. So facial expressions are very important. And that when you're doing like conversations, like when I did the so, I did the whole, I make like that whole face of like, kind of. You do want to do something similar to that in the sense of what's more like your natural. Sorry, my dog is moving a chair. He's just being noisy right now. But you do want to have like your natural like kind of expressions to show what you're feeling. Okay. Because that's how we portray. It's almost like, when we're talking with our voice and if someone's getting really, really mad, you can almost hear it in their voice. They either are getting louder, they're getting more like you can hear that tone change. That's how it is in ASL. It's your facial expressions are like showing the tone, basically. Think of it like that. Okay. Let's go now onto our Halloween signs because Halloween.
Question.
Yes.
Do you do who's like the possessive? Like whose is that?
Okay, that's a good one. Thank you. So when you're talking about someone's like something that someone owns, you're going to point to it, or you can even like do open hand to it. So like I have my headband here because I just took it off, but I'd be like this whose that, or like I point to it and I go whose. That's how you would ask if this is someone's or something's.
Okay, how would you ask if it was an intangible, like whose idea was that? Or you know what I'm saying?
You would do idea who. Idea who.
Okay, so we would just use the sign and just
Yeah,
who.
you
Okay.
would still add that who in there. This is kind of, it can go for whose because technically, oh wait, I'm not gonna say it because I know I feel like my English. I'm like I'm not confident. I was gonna say whose is very similar to who, which I think it is. I mean it is, but like the slight differences in English of who versus whose versus whom and all that. In ASL, you use a different sign to already identify that, that kind of thing. So I knew I was going to start to teeter if I go down these three because that even gets me every now and then. I'm like, I'll go who or whom, and that's what I was like, let's not go there. Okay, so any more questions for question words before we go ahead to Halloween signs? All right, perfect. So obviously the first sign we're going to do is the sign for Halloween. There are two really kind of three-ish ways. Two of them are very similar. Well, really all three of them are very similar. They just have a slight difference. So, excuse me, the first sign we're going to do for Halloween is you're going to have like kind of really open C's like this, and you're going to go Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. I think about it like peekaboo. You know, when you play like peekaboo with a baby, it's that kind of motion of boop, like scaring. I did that totally backwards. I bounced out when I was coming in, but the like Halloween kind of motion. So Halloween, Halloween. The next version is same motion, but now with 2 H's, like kind of like use as you go Halloween. 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 So it's the 2. Ooh, there we go. 2 means technically it's supposed to be an H, but because it's pointing up, it is the shape of a U. But you're just going to go across your face the same way. Halloween. Halloween. This is more of that English versus ASL, like we've talked about before. It's kind of giving it that letter. Halloween. The other one I've seen, I don't see this one often, but I do point it out, is Halloween. It's like kind of coming here and then flipping it up. I very rarely have seen this one. I see this more than anything, but I do want to let y'all know if you've seen this, that's Halloween as well. Halloween. It's like putting them on your cheeks and putting them to the side. Halloween. Halloween. It's an interesting one. I saw like once and I was like, I did not know that was another one for Halloween. So, okay. The next one we're going to do is we're going to do house first and then scary second, because I will explain why that comes together for our third sign. Okay. So the sign for house is you're going to start kind of like a triangle and you're going to go house. Ooh, let me back up. House. House. So it's like you're making the shape of a house, you know, our typical little like triangle with the square. House. 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 And then we have for scary. This is also the sign for scared. Okay. I'm going to try to like, see if I can lower this a little bit. You're going to start like with 2 fists, like here, your dominant's kind of up higher, your non-dominant's lower, and you're going to go scared, 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 scared. So you like open your hands. I think about it like if, I don't know if you guys do, when you get startled, some people will kind of react like this. They'll like pull their hands up. It's that kind of motion. Scared, scared, scared. That also can be scary. Some people will do like that motion, like scary, or just scary, scary, scary. So the reason I gave you house and scary is because for haunted house, you do scary house. You would go scary house, scary house. So I'm gonna do it one more time. Scary house. Okay. The next one we have is witch. So for witch, you're going to have kind of like that bent X. You're going to put it on your nose. You're going to have a kind of a non-dominant, let me move my hand so I'm not talking through my finger. You're going to have your non-dominant hand in a C shape. Okay. You're going to go witch, 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 witch. So it's like imagine holding a cup and then her nose is so long, it's going into the cup. That's like that's my best visual of that. Witch. Sometimes like more that shorthand will be like witch, where it's like it bounces outward. But I would recommend doing this one for the time being, because if you have it slightly off, like where you're talking about an animal, a different kind of animal. So I would just do witch for now. Witch. Then we have pumpkin. So pumpkin is going to be a fist. Your non-dominant hand's a fist. Your dominant hand is going to be in that shape of an 8. And then you're going to flick onto your back of your hand. Pumpkin. Not hard enough to hurt, but enough to like flick. So pumpkin. Yeah, please don't hurt yourselves with this. Pumpkin. I love little pumpkins. Sorry. I love the Halloween signs. I get really giddy on them. Okay, let's do one more and then we'll go back. All right, so the next one is vampire, okay? So for vampires, you're going to have a V. You're going to bend them. And then you're going to put them on your neck, like 2 bite marks. Vampire. Let me tell you, watching little kids sign Halloween signs, probably the cutest thing in the world, okay? They're little vampires because their mouth is always like, vampire, like, oh, they're so dramatic with it. It's just the cutest thing in the world. I love it. Okay, so let's go back to our Halloween. So we had Halloween. We We also had the other one, Halloween. Halloween. Then we had haunted house. So if you remember, it's scary house. Scary house. Then we had witch. 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 Pumpkin. Pumpkin. So it's the 8 and you're flicking it. Pumpkin. And then vampire. 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 I do recommend, no, I love that. I saw that. She's like, oh, I always like to recommend when you're doing signs like these, get really like have fun with it. Because that's like how we show our tone. So like when I'm doing these signs with like my kids, like, oh, my face is like everywhere. I'm just like vampire. Like I go all over the place with it. And I highly recommend do that. That's what makes it more fun and just more like natural with ASL. I always like to recommend that. So yes, do that. Okay. Our next one is going to be bat. So for bat, you're going to have 2 X's and you're going to cross them over to each shoulder. Bat. 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 Okay. The next one we have is skeleton. Skeleton is very similar to bat. What you're going to do is you're going to have, instead of 1 X, it's like bent to a bent V, I guess. You're going to go skeleton. Skeleton. This is also the sign for bones as well. So skeleton, bone. Typically, context clues do come into play with that one. So like if someone's asking what are you dressing up as for Halloween, you go skeleton, like they're gonna know you're talking, like if you did this, they're gonna know you're talking about a skeleton. But if you wanted to be really specific on it being like a full body skeleton, you can always go skeleton, body. Oops, you can't see me do. I'm patting my shoulders and patting right next to like my stomach. Body. Body. So skeleton, body. That's just a helpful like to clarify more. Not necessarily that the sign for skeleton is this body. That's just something like I always like to do. I like to always make sure that it's clearly through. That is optional if you guys want to or not. Okay, our next one is monster. So I'm actually going to back up my computer real quick because I feel like I'm just like so close you can't see me. There we go. Okay, so for monster, you're going to go monster, monster, monster. So like think about like roar when you're trying to pretend to be like a dinosaur or something. It's like roar. It's that monster, monster, monster. Okay, the next one we have is zombie. Zombie, I think, is a fun one. So you're going to stick your arms fully across like this, and you're going to go up and down. Zombie. I told you, these are fun, guys, okay? These are some of my favorite ones. They're just so fun. All right. Our next one is going to be candy. So for candy, we have not done food. I love how I was about to start off. It's very similar to these 2 signs we've seen. We've not seen them yet. That's okay. We'll worry about those later. The sign for candy is going to be a pointer finger, corner of your mouth. You're going to go candy. 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 I do like to recommend when you're talking about candy, because most of us like some type of candy, having a nice little smile with your candy. And now if you're trying to say like no candy, then you don't need the smile, but I always have just the slightest little smile, because it does help later on when we talk about food. There's another sign that is pretty much the same sign, and your facial expressions are what makes a difference. So, candy. I've never thought of that. So I don't know if anyone saw, but Emily was saying that she was told to think of a cavity when signing candy. Oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. I just was over here accepting this. Yes, this is candy. I think I was just too excited because my first time learning candy was also during Halloween science and I was just ready. Okay. But that is that's so smart. Candy. Okay. We're going to do one more and then we'll go back through those. Okay. The next one we have is ghost. Okay. So ghost, I'm going to show you guys it first and then try to describe it because I feel like if I try to describe it now, it's just going to be chaos. Okay. So it's ghost. Ghost. So it's like open 8s that come and pinch together and you pull it out. Ghost. And you do make like a little zigzag motion. Ghost. 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 That's also spirit. I think, wow, I'm getting real specific. Apparition, things like that. Anything that's like that ghostly, spirity kind of thing, you would do this to. Ghost. Ghost. So it's the eights, and you pinch as you pull them apart. Ghost. Ghost. Okay, so let's go back. We had bat. Bat. Excuse me. Then we had skeleton. Skeleton. Or bones. Skeleton, bones. We had monster. 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 Zombie. Zombie. I love watching y'all all do zombie. Because everyone trying to avoid hitting their cameras while also making sure their signs are being seen. All right, then we have candy. Candy. Oh, it's a nice little smile. And then ghost. 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 Ghost.
Hey,
Okay.
Jillian, I have a question. For skeleton, unlike bat, which rests on you, skeleton is out here, not
Yes,
touching
it
your.
is more out. Yes. If I would, yeah. I have it more like outward. I'm gonna pull it more angled. I typically am right here, but it is not touching. Okay. The next one we're gonna do is the sign for costume, which is also really the sign for clothes as well. Typically, if you're talking about a specific costume, like a Halloween costume, you would add the Halloween before it, okay? There are two ways I've seen it. I'm gonna show you both ways, okay? So the first one is just the generalized sign for clothes. And it's, okay, so you're gonna have your thumbs kind of touch the top as you brush down clothes. So it's like I'm actually touching and brushing down my shirt. Clothes. Clothes. So this is clothes. I've also seen people have the C and go costume with the C and go down costume. So like they'll do this for clothes and then this for costume. Either way works. Again, this is more that English, I think, versus the ASL. Okay. So if you were going to ask about Halloween costume, Halloween clothes. Okay. The next one we have is going to be devil, which this is also the same sign as mischievous, okay? So you're gonna have 2 3s. You're gonna put them on the side, like kind of on your temples, and you're gonna go like this. Devil. Typically when you do this, you wanna have that kind of like mischievous face when you're doing it, like, because devil, mischievous are the same sign. Okay. The next one we have is werewolf. So werewolf is going to be the sign for wolf with the sign man, okay? So we're gonna do kind of like we did with the haunted house. We're gonna start with wolf and then we'll do man, okay? So the sign for wolf is going to be, I'm gonna turn sideways for this one, okay? I'm gonna have kind of like a 5 in my face and I'm gonna go wolf, wolf, wolf. So it's like you're pulling out the snout. The snout is long, wolf. And you do want to make sure you go outward because if you just come down straight like this is sleep. So I don't think you want to say you're, the sleep man. I think you want to say you're the wolf man or werewolf. Wolf. Wolf. Okay. So that's the first part of our werewolf. The second part is the man. I'm going to show you man and woman because you can do both. All right. So man is going to be a 5 on your forehead. And then you bring it to your chest. Man. So wolf, man. If you were going to do wolf, woman, which I know we don't typically say, but werewolf still, being a female werewolf, female is going to be the same 5 on your chin and come to your chest. So woman, woman. So wolf, woman. Wolf, woman. Okay. Let's go on to our next one. Our next one's going to be spider. So for spider, you're going to have your hands kind of on top of each other like this. dominant's on top, and then you're gonna wiggle your fingers. Spider, spider. I like to sometimes make it move like it's actually coming towards people, mainly to the kids, but that's only because they're like, I don't want a spider. Spider. I really like this one only because of how visual it looks like an actual spider. Like, I don't know, I just love it. Spider. Okay, let's see how many we've done. Let's do one more and then we'll go through. Go back. Okay, so our next one is gonna be clown. So for clown, you're going to just kind of have an open seat and you're gonna put it on your nose. Clown, clown. So like the red big old nose, clown, clown. And because my students like to ask this all the time, because all of them love it and all of that, the scary movies and everything. If you were to talk about it, like Pennywise and all that, you would finger spell any specific kind of character. So like if you're talking about Pennywise, you would have to finger spell Pennywise and then go clown. You can also do scary clown. Those are just for those like kind of creepy looking clowns. Those are very popular at my school, unfortunately. And I have one teacher who's literally deathly afraid of clowns. And so it's always fun because she's always like, do not. Like we've already had an agreement. If any of her kids come up dressed up as like scary clowns, they're getting kicked out of their class coming to my classroom. And I'm like, that's fine. I'll take them. I don't mind them. I'm not a fan of them, but I'll take them. So, okay. Let's go back to our costumes. So we had the sign for clothes. And then there was that English I showed you with the C, costume. Then we had devil and mischievous, devil. Think with this one, all the like horns on his head, if that helps kind of remember what this sign is. Then we had werewolf. So our first one was wolf man. So wolf man. And then wolf woman. And then we had spider. Then we had clown. Okay, so the next one is going to be Frankenstein. There are 3 different ways you can sign Frankenstein. Okay, so the first one is going to be, you're gonna almost have like little G's, and you're gonna go Frankenstein, like Frankenstein. So it's like, I do a little tap when I do it, but like Frankenstein. Frankenstein. The other one is pointer fingers, Frankenstein. And then the other final one is with F's, Frankenstein. Frankenstein. So they're all similar. They all pretty much have the same concept. It's just a slight change here and there. Frankenstein, Frankenstein, Frankenstein. I personally like this one. I think it's just because it does actually look like the bolts sticking out because it's like thicker, but that's just me. I've seen all of them kind of used, very common. So, okay. The next one, whoa. The next one is jack-o'-lantern. So for jack-o'-lantern, you're gonna have the sign candle and the sign for pumpkin and put them together. So you first start off with pumpkin, and then you're gonna do candle. So it's a pointer finger at the base of your dominant palm and you wiggle your fingers like the flame. Candle. And you wanna make sure your pointer finger stays at the base because that's like our candle wax while your hand is the flame. So pumpkin, candle, jack-o'-lantern. All right, let's see. Where's the other side of this list? Oh, there we go. Okay. The next one is mummy. And not like mommy, but mummy. And it's going to be mummy. 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 This is also the sign for rest, which, I mean, I guess it does make sense because, you know, mummies are typically sleeping in their tombs. But yeah, mummy. Okay. Our next one is party. So like a Halloween party. So the sign for party is you're going to have 2, they're really just 2 V's, but they can kind of look like P's, but you're going to go back and forth. Party. And the visual here is like people are dancing, like this is like 2 people dancing. and they're partying. So party. And again, this is one where your arms are not going to be as like this uncomfortably high, like sticking up like this, going party. They're more party, like lower party. I just have to lift it up higher so you guys can see it. Party. So if you were going to do a Halloween party, you would do a Halloween party. Okay. The next one we have is going to be a black cat. So I think Miss Katie sent you guys the color videos. That's so if you haven't had a chance to see it, we'll do it again. So the sign for black, so black, and then cat is cat. Sorry, was getting a school email and it threw me off. We have a new app thing that gives us all these notifications and it throws me off every time. So black cat. It's like making that F shape as you're pulling out the whiskers. That's basically what it represents, is like the whiskers sticking out.
Yeah, we're cleaning our whiskers.
Yeah.
My favorite. I love this sign.
It is really cute. I do like this. My favorite one's turtle. We will get to that one later with our animals, but it's one of my favorites. So cat. Okay. The next one we're going to do is trick or treat. Now, I like to preface this because this is a sign that I've seen so many different ways every time, to the point where I don't think I've seen a real consistent, this is the generalized, this is the one to use. I've seen it changed so many times. It's not even really it's changed. I've just seen it different so many times. Okay. All else fails, I do always like to say, if you're not sure, just fingerspell trick or treat. Okay. That one always can work as well. So the one I typically like is going to be where you make the motion of knocking on a door. So trick, and then opening up your bag for candy. Trick or treat. Trick or treat. So knocking, open. Let's see. I've seen another one where it's like you knock 3 times and then you twist to like to do the same. It's like similar, but you twist the bag. Knocking, trick or treat. What are some ones I've seen? Ooh, I'm trying to remember. This is the one I use generally. Every time I'm like trick or treat. Wow, why am I drawing a blank on this? Let's see. Another one I've seen is, well, I've seen also the basic one of just using the signs trick and treat. So the sign for trick, okay, is 2 X's. You're going to have your non-dominant down. Your dominant's going to come on top and it's going to go across it. Trick, 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 trick. So trick and then fingerspell or, and I've seen candy. So trick or candy, trick or candy. I've also seen some people do trick or sweets, because this is sweet. Sweet is like your 4 fingers are going to brush across your chin. Sweet. Sweet. So trick or sweets, trick or treats, candy. Okay. Did just do trick. Let's see. We'll go back before we finish with the last 4 or 5. I think there were like 3 or 4. Okay. So let's go back. We had our Frankenstein. So we had Frankenstein, Frankenstein, or Frankenstein. Either way that you prefer. Then we had our jack-o'-lantern, which was pumpkin candle. Then we had trying to go back, mummy, mummy, or also rest. Then we had our Halloween party. So we had Halloween party. Then we had black cat. So black cat, black cat. And then trick or treat. So we had the one that I showed you, which was the knocking and opening the bag of candy. Then we had the sign for trick, trick, the 2 X's, and you go across each other, trick, trick, or treat. Or the other one with the sweets there. Okay. Now, our last 3 to 4, and then I'll leave it open before we try to see if we can do any of the last holiday signs. So the sign for people asked this last time. It's sign for broom. So the sign for broom is there are two ways to do it. Is really one is just broom, like sweeping motion, like you're cleaning, or the actual sign for sweep. This is the sign for sweeping. Sorry, I'm going way too fast. Let me slow myself down. There's broom, like you're cleaning a floor. But then there's also the sign for sweep, which I've seen some people use to help kind of explain what this is. So it'll go broom and then sweep. And it's like you're collecting things. Sweep. Now, when they were asking this, they're asking about a witch's broom, like when the witch is flying. Okay. So if you were and talk about just the witch's broom itself, you do witch like broom, witch's broom. If I were to be talking about a witch on a broom, like there are two ways you can do it. One is more visual, whereas the other one's like kind of a sentence-y kind of deal. I would do witch broom, jumping on it, and then flying. So I know. Yeah, I know it's very fast. That's why I was like, I'm gonna slow it down. So I make the motion of this being the broom, and I'm gonna have this bent like the sitting, and like you sit on it, and then you're flying. I know it looks weird, but that's like how you make the motion. Cause like this is like riding a horse, okay? This is the motion of riding a horse. So where it's like you have a stick on top and you're riding it. So for saying being like flying, which is broom. So yeah. The other one, the more like English is witch on broom. Where you like pat it on. But it's kind of boring. It's kind of boring one. I don't know. I think okay. The next one I have is a sign for moon, because werewolf. And so for moon, you're gonna have this single small C, I guess would be the best way. You're gonna start up at your eye and you're gonna go out. Moon. I'm gonna lean back some. Moon. You still can't see me do it. Moon. Like I'm sticking it up in the air, like I'm looking at it. Moon. Moon. Think about the crescent shape and then you're looking at it. Moon. Moon. Okay. Then we have pirate. Pirate is you're gonna hold pie. Pirate. I was reading, you said, or the moon hits your eye, and I read pie because of that. Sorry. It's like, why did I just say pie? No, I was trying to say pirate. Pirate is you just cover one eye. Oh, you know what though? Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. I don't know. I've always just thought about just like looking at the view of the moon as it goes up. I don't know what that is. But yeah, the moon hitting you in the eye is a good one.
Wait,
Okay.
this is pirate?
Pirate, yeah.
That's it?
Yeah. I mean, you could do a hook, like, that, but I mean,
Yeah. I
I
was
know.
hoping for a little bit more.
I know. I remember thinking so too. And then I remember because I was like, when they first did, I was like, surely you mean like this, like pirate or something. I was like, no, that's just getting really complicated. Nope, it's just covering one eye. Pirate. Pirate. Okay. So the last one I have is if you are asking about Dracula, like a specific name for a character. It's very similar, like I kind of did with Pennywise, is you can fingerspell Dracula and then do vampire. Or I guess if you're talking about, because I was gonna say, or you can just do vampire. But if you're trying to be specific, I would just fingerspell Dracula, especially since it's technically his name. You would want to spell Dracula. Okay. Let's do our last few and then we'll try to move on. Well, we'll see. We might not get to the rest of the holiday signs, but we can add that somewhere if we need to. Okay, so we had our broom. So broom, like we're sweeping, broom. Excuse me. And then the next one is moon, moon, moon. And then pirate, pirate, pirate. And then we had our Dracula, which was vampire. Okay. So if you were to say I have a joke, like you wanted to tell a joke, what you would do is there's technically two ways. I'm going to just do it this way. It's more English. I'll admit this is a more English way of saying it, but we're just going to go through with it. Is me have. So have is like you have like these bent hands. Oh, there we go. And I put them right on top of my armpits. So I'm not going in my armpits. I'm going right above them. Have joke. Joke. This also for joke, trick, this can also be teasing. So I'm just teasing you, I'm just tricking you, I'm teasing you, that sort of thing. So if you went ahead and said like a joke or something, and then they're like, you can be like, I'm teasing you. That. I have done that. So, okay. I know we got like 2 minutes. Is there any questions or any Halloween signs you guys can think of that you're curious of? You can either type them in the chat. I was gonna say, if you're talking about a specific costume, like a specific type, you most of the time would have to finger spell the name of it, the more specific you go. Oh, perfect. Happy Halloween. Yes. So happy Halloween. If you're, we've not done happy. Wow. Okay. I was like, do you remember we did happy birthday? No, we haven't. So happy is going to be, you're going to have two kind of closed fives is what I call them. Happy. And you're going to pat up your chest. So happy Halloween. So happy Halloween. It's a fun one. I don't know. Again, bias, Halloween, favorite. Any other Halloween signs you guys can think of? Yeah, spooky is kind of like scary. Sometimes I like to add a little bit of effect of like spooky like that towards them to get them like really, and they hate it. They hate it, they love it, you know, where it's like, stop, stop. And I'm just like, ooh, that kind of thing. So you can add those like kind of little things to just kind of help make it more fun. But yeah, any others? I feel like we finally have hit our mark on like how many signs. Serious? Okay. I'm sorry. I do love that. Like that, like calling his sister the devil, being like, oh my gosh. Let me tell you, okay, deaf kids are not, they are not playing. They will definitely tease and they're going to call their siblings everything under the sun. You would think just from like, even when their language is so behind, oh, they'll find a way. The amount of times I've caught kids cussing, I'm like, you can't even spell the word cat and you still know this word? So they are sneaky. They are sneaky. Oh, good. Movie. We'll do movie last since we have Halloween movies. The sign for movie is going to be your non-dominant sideways, dominant hand up top like this, and you're going to bounce it back and forth. Movie.
Show me sneaky one more time.
Why did mischievous like sneaky or sneaky?
Oh, I got you. Okay.
Yeah, I was like going like I was doing mischievous, being mischievous. I usually go mischievous and then I go sneaky, like a little bouncing through, like you're hiding behind the wall sneaking. So I'll be like that. But for movie, you want to make sure your non-dominant palm, like I'm gonna turn mine sideways so you see it. Like I have my palm touching the base and I'm moving my hand back and forth on it. Back and forth. I'm not moving it across, I'm just bouncing it back and forth. Okay, I can give this. So we'll do the last one. This here is the sign for puppy. When you're talking about a baby animal, you're just always going to add the sign for baby towards it. So dog is you pat your leg and snap. Dog. Dog. So you would do dog baby for puppy. That's how you would say puppy. It's dog baby or baby dog. Either way, those kind of can flip like that because they go together like that. So yeah, for puppy, you would just do dog, little puppy. And
Hey,
make the little
Jillian, remind me next week, and I'll try to remember to put this in our notes. Is family next week? We're doing family signs next week? I don't remember. But
so.
remind me, we need to do happy birthday, and we also need to do things like congratulations, or like the things you would say like at a like for family events.
Right. Okay. Yeah. No, that'll be a good one. I'll try to remember, but my memory
But
is.
I feel like I'm going to make a note about happy birthday because I feel like every other class we do it. And, if somebody has a birthday, we remember. But otherwise, we forget.
Right. When someone will ask every time, what do you say? How do you say happy birthday? And I'm like, why have we forgotten to put this? Like, why do I forget about that one? That's why I was like, when we were doing Halloween, I was like, oh my God, it's just a little puppy. Sorry. Oh my goodness. I get so distracted when I see animals on the screen, guys. Okay. Like, I'm literally no better than the kids. Like, I'm like, but oh my gosh, what a cute little doggy. Oh. But yes, we definitely need to do like celebratory signs, like how you would do like congratulations and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. All righty. Well,
Like, my daughter's yelling at my son. Y'all have a great week.
And an awesome Halloween. I
Oh
hope
yeah.
you enjoy it Thursday. Please do not get tired and just power through. Get yourself some candy with it, okay? You can do a parent tax. I could do a teacher tax, not a big one, just a little. Get yourself some candy. And I will see you guys all next Tuesday. Bye, guys.
Bye everybody.